Everything about him radiated fitness and bodily comfort. He smiled frequently, showing large and prominent teeth. "I was going to look you up," he cried enthusiastically. "I'm taking a couple of weeks off. If you'll sit down a sec, I'll be right with you. Going to take a shower." As he vanished into the bathroom, his visitor's dark eyes roved nervously around the room, resting for a moment on a great English traveling bag in the corner and on a family of thick silk shirts littered on the chairs amid impressive neckties and soft woolen socks. Gordon rose and, picking up one of the shirts, gave it a minute examination. It was of very heavy silk, yellow with a pale blue stripe, and there were nearly a dozen of them. He stared involuntarily at his own shirt cuffs. They were ragged and linty at the edges and soiled to a faint gray. Dropping the silk shirt, he held his coat sleeves down and worked the frayed shirt cuffs up till they were out of sight. Then he went to the mirror and looked at himself with listless, unhappy interest. His tie, of former glory, was faded and thumb-creased. It served no longer to hide the jagged buttonholes of his collar. He thought, quite without amusement, that only 3 years before he had received a scattering vote in the senior elections at college for being the best-dressed man in his class. Dean emerged from the bathroom, polishing his body. "Saw an old friend of yours last night," he remarked. "Passed her in the lobby and couldn't think of her name to save my neck. That girl you brought up to New Haven senior year." Gordon started. "Edith Braden? That whom you mean?" "That's the one. Damn good looking. She's still sort of a pretty doll. You know what I mean, as if you touched her she'd smear." He surveyed his shining self complacently in the mirror, smiled faintly, exposing a section of teeth. "She must be 23 anyway," he continued. 22 last month," said Gordon absently. "What? Oh, last month. Well, I imagine she's down for the Gamma Psi dance. Did you know we're having a Yale Gamma Psi dance tonight at Delmonico's? You better come up, Gordy. Half of New Haven will probably be there. I can get you an invitation." Draping himself reluctantly in fresh underwear, Dean lit a cigarette and sat down by the open window, inspecting his calves and knees under the morning sunshine which poured into the room. "Sit down, Gordy," he suggested, "and tell me all about what you've been doing and what you're doing now and everything." Gordon collapsed unexpectedly upon the bed, lay there inert and spiritless. His mouth, which habitually dropped a little open when his face was in repose, became suddenly helpless and pathetic. "What's the matter?" asked Dean quickly. "Oh, God." "What's the matter?" "Every goddamn thing in the world," he said miserably. "I've absolutely gone to pieces, Phil. I'm all in." "Huh?" "I'm all in," his voice shaking. Dean scrutinized him more closely with appraising blue eyes. "You certainly look shot." "I am. I've made a hell of a mess of everything." He paused. "I'd better start at the beginning. Or will it bore you?" "Not at all. Go on." There was, however, a hesitant note in Dean's voice. This trip east had been planned for a holiday. To find Gordon Sterrett in trouble exasperated him a little. "Go on," he repeated, and then added half under his breath, "Get it over with." "Well," began Gordon unsteadily, "I got back from France in February, went home to Harrisburg for a month, and then came down to New York to get a job. I got one with an export company. They fired me yesterday." "Fired you?" "I'm coming to that, Phil. I want to tell you frankly. You're about the only man I can turn to in a matter like this. You won't mind if I just tell you frankly, will you, Phil?" Dean stiffened a bit more. The pats he was bestowing on his knees grew perfunctory. He felt vaguely that he was being unfairly saddled with a responsibility. He was not even sure he wanted to be told. Though never surprised at finding Gordon Sterrett in mild difficulty, there was something in this present misery that repelled him and hardened him, even though it excited his curiosity. "Go on." "It's a girl." Dean resolved that nothing was going to spoil this trip. If Gordon was going to be depressing, then he'd have to see less of Gordon. "Her name is Jewel Hudson," went on the distressed voice from the bed. "She used to be pure, I guess, up to about a year ago. Lived here in New York, poor family. Her people are dead now, and she lives with..."